So today I'm going to go over the notes for quadratic transformations. Yesterday was kind of an exploration to get you guys used to the stuff we're going to see. This is all kind of a summary of what we've seen before. If I'm subtracting inside, it's moving left and right, opposite the sign, because the formula just has a minus in there. If there's a number at the end, it's going to move up and down. Negatives outside flip across the x-axis. Negatives inside reflect across the y-axis. This one, it's going to map on itself because it's 28. It's going to fold over on itself. So, that's not the blue part. This is called the vertex form. And it's y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So a can't equal 0, and my vertex is hk. That's probably what's out there. Nobody else wants a calculator? Okay, so before I graph, does anyone know how this one's changing? Or do I need a graph? You said left 4. And how did you know that? Okay, so the number inside was positive, so it's opposite the sign, and negative 4 would be left. And then you said, what was the 1? And down 1 because of the 1 at the end. So notice this is kind of like what we were doing in chapter 1 with the absolute value functions, except now we're moving on to quadratic ones. Okay. So then I'm going to go graph these on the calculator. I go to y equals right here, and then I type in my two equations. To get the x, there's an x button right here next to the green alpha. And then I do squared, and then type in the other one, x plus 4 squared minus 1. Then I want to go ahead and graph this. The one on the paper, x plus 4 squared minus 1. So my blue graph is my x squared. So this was named f of x. And then the red one is my g of x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Yeah? How did I do that? Okay, so you go to y equals, which is this yellow button right here. Might be worn off on yours. Some of the calculators. And then to get the x, the button next to the green button is x. And then squared is another button. To get it to graph, there's a yellow graph button over here on the right side. It takes some time. It actually thinks about the points and plots them. Okay, any other questions about this question? Okay. This just talks about vertical stretches. Also, I apologize. I didn't realize I didn't double-side this. So, it's single-sided. Okay. I have another example. It's telling me that the graph of G is going to be a vertical stretch of 2, a reflection in the x-axis, and then a translation 3 units down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this into 3 steps. I have my vertical stretch, my reflection, and my translation. So my first step, and this is the equation I'm changing, f of x equals x squared, so I'll highlight that. Okay. The first thing I'm doing is a vertical stretch of 2, so that multiplies the equation by 2. Then my second step is a reflection in the x-axis. That's a negative out front. Okay. And then my final one is a translation 3 units down, so what do I need to change? -3 where? Inside parentheses with x or at the end? At the end. Okay, so then my final thing to do is just to write it as g of x equals -2x squared minus 3. Questions on number 2? Okay. Number 3 is going to be the same thing. I'm going to break it down into 3 steps. I have the 3 units right, 2 units up, and the reflection in the y-axis. So I'm also changing this equation. So this one's a little different. It has more stuff written with it already. Okay. So the first step is to go 3 units right. Where does 3 units right normally go? What? -3, I'm going to plug in -3 for all of my x's. So instead of writing x, I'm going to write x minus 3 everywhere it appears in my equation. So because x showed up twice, I have to write x minus 3 twice. How come 5 isn't in the parentheses? Because 5 was part of the original equation, so it stays out. Because I'm just plugging in for x. Any other questions? Okay. There's one thing, I'm not going to distribute this one, but I am going to distribute this one. So I have x minus 3 squared. And then over here I have minus 5x plus 15. Because negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Okay. Then my second step is to go 2 units up. So I rewrite everything and add 2 to the end. Okay, I can combine like terms at the end, so I rewrite everything else. My final step is a reflection in the y-axis. This means I'm going to plug in negative x for all of my x's. Okay, so I'm going to simplify. I'm just going to remove the parentheses on the first one. Then I have negative 5 times negative x, which is going to give me positive x. And then I'm just going to rewrite it so it says g of x equals that. You know what? I forgot it. It turned into a positive 5. questions there?